Hi there, guys. Welcome to the first ever podcast. We've named it the Uplift. This is to hopefully inspire people and uplift them morally and spiritually and so on. So it's called the Uplift with Autism Dad. And first time ever. Obviously, this is a testing phase, and I wanted to invite my own brother who's seen me grow up, and I've seen him grow up. He doesn't look young anymore, though. He's a man of experience now. He's a man of experience. A lot to share with us. A lot to share. He does amazing work, not just for the family, but for the community as well. So hopefully, I'll pick on him to get some of his ideas and experiences and feelings and so on.
Amazing.
So, do you want to present yourself, Mr. Rana? Who are you? What do you do? Also, talk about your community that you've built up on social medias and so on, especially on Discord and what you do.
All right. First of all, hello. My name is Rana. I go by the name of Suto Sasa on streaming. I did it for a joke, and then it stuck.
What does Sutosasa mean for the public out there?
So for a lot of Western people, Suto is just a random sound. They don't really understand, obviously, language-wise. They don't know what it means. But for Asian people, whether it is Pakistani, India, or Bangladesh, Suto, depending on how you pronounce it, means small. Or as we say, the younger Sasa, smaller Sasa. Now, I did that for a joke initially when it came to streaming, and then it took off, and before you know it, there's thousands of people calling me Suto, but not realizing what that means. But yeah, so streaming was something I started as I guess just a test going on 3 years ago, and did it just for fun. And within a very short amount of time, I realized that it was not even the gaming that I was interested in. It was more to do with the communication, the people that you meet, the experiences that you have. And before you knew it, there was, over a few thousand people from around the world that was in a community that were opening their hearts and experiences and talking about things that affected them and things that helped them cope with day-to-day kind of life. And before you know it, it became a mental health community. So started with the game, ended up staying for the community and everything else that it comes with.
Do you want to tell us, the audience, what your Discord name is, or how to find you? Maybe if they wanted to, come into your community and speak about themselves.
So on Discord, if you go to Discovery and search for People Power, you'd find that there is on the actual Discovery channel itself a community where we're based around gaming. But to be honest, it gets to a stage where it's not anything just to do with gaming. It's to do with everything and more. But it's on the Discord Discovery. It's public, so anybody that wants to join is more than able to join. But yeah, you can just, like I said, it's an open server, and just jump in.
And we understand you do a lot of streaming as well. Your stream name on Twitch, right? Or is it Kick as well?
So both. I had it until just a week ago. I had Suto_Sasa, but then I thought, New Year, let me change my name. I'm not sure if you know this. I changed it to iRunner, which is something that I had for, I think, since 2006 when you guys bought the Xbox for me when we played Call of Duty. That's when I had iRunner. And so I just thought, let me go back to my original kind of name and switch it over. So even though for a lot of people they're like, what's with the change of name? It's because it means, for me, it just reminds me of like the good old days of gaming. So I've switched it over to that. Stream. So I've recently started working, and so I'm trying to balance the life between streaming, full-time work, and family, and trying to find the happy medium. On top of that, I'm trying to squeeze in the gym every single day during my lunch break. So I've got a few things involved, but honestly speaking, compared to what people have historically been through, it's a very, very easy life. Alhamdulillah, I can't complain. Very, very straightforward.
You sound like a busy person, but I know you're an amazing dad. I know what you do for the family. So I know the struggles and the result as well. It's not the struggle and the result. So you did an amazing job. And it inspired a lot of us, even the older generation. I'm older than you, but it still inspires me a lot as well. Seeing you how you raised your children and what they've turned out to be. It's amazing.
That means a lot. Thank you, sir.
Right. So let's get into some of the questions that we want to talk about on this podcast. I've got a few. I might read off. I might just kind of look down a bit, just every now and then, to read off a few. These are questions that I'm sure most people will find interesting to know. Right. So I know. I'm sure the audience don't know, but I know that you have I don't know. Is mixed marriage a right term, or is it interracial? What is it? How
So,
how how do people term that? Because
so I think
obviously you,
interracial is something is coined by. Sorry for cutting you off, by the way. I
yeah,
think interracial is something that's coined. I think something that's mostly predominantly used in America. And when it comes down to mixed, I guess, or as we call, like, obviously we say marrying outside of the culture when
right,
you marry somebody that's not from the same culture. But yeah, to be honest, I never really even thought about it like that. But I know that
right,
obviously people ask, they just assume that I'm married to a Bengali person. That's
right.
something
So
that
you
is always
so,
the case.
so obviously we know that. So Rana isn't married to a Bengali person. He's married outside the community to an Irish English, right?
She's Irish Indian.
Irish Indian. So, but she's not half Indian, is she? She's like
No, she's her mother's half Indian, so
right.
which makes her next to nothing Indian, which is a
Yeah.
quarter. Doesn't really
Yeah,
count,
I mean,
as
like
people say.
obviously, I've seen her many times. We've grown up with her and
Yeah,
all
yeah.
sorts of that. So we can't even tell there's any Indian in
There is
her. So
no hint
yeah.
of anything.
So before marriage, or towards marriage, shall I say? Tell the experience, what your experiences were like in terms of the community accepting you, or even if family, accepted you, and if there was any issues, any problems, something that like you have in your mind that's it's what's I'm looking for? Something big that's happened in your life. Like, oh, that I remember that time when this happened or that happened. You some sort of trying to say. So a time like that.
Interesting. I got you. So, funnily enough, there needs to be. I haven't heard nothing but horror stories from people who have married anyone outside of their own culture. That even goes as kind of near as marrying someone who's not Bengali, that could be possibly Indian or Pakistani. It causes all types of problems amongst their own family. Um, for me, obviously, you know this fully very, very well. We were brought up by a very, very amazing man and woman, and he understood very well the difference between culture and religion, and he never got those two ever mixed up. He understood the difference and the damages that it does, and the guidance that one brings. So, for me personally, it was a very, very easy thing. It was never difficult. Family, alhamdulillah, very open family. Nobody was intrusive, and nobody was overbearing when it came down to the decision of who another person marries. Apart from guidance, always like guidance and good kind of I guess food for thought.
Mm.
And so for me, it was very, very easy. But the only you're gonna laugh at this, by the way. The
Go on,
only
okay.
kind of the only kind of I wouldn't say trouble, but the only kind of conflict I ever had was outside of the family. It was,
Yeah,
and not
'cause
even her side of the family. This was more
yeah,
to do with friends' parents
right.
and other people who would throw their two pence in and would see mum, for example, shopping and
Yeah.
would be like, "How can you let your son do this? And how could you let your son do that?" And mum
Because
would
I mean,
always say, "Mhm."
yeah, because I was thinking. I mean, I don't, from my knowledge and from what I know, I don't think anyone's ever made any issues or had anything negative to say from family side.
"Never."
So yeah, because I unless something happened in the background that I didn't know of, but
Yeah.
from growing up, I've never ever heard anyone say anything negative about it.
No.
Everyone's been accepting, everyone's been good. She's like a sister to us, she's part of the family, and that's how I've seen it, and I'm sure other members of the family have seen it as
Oh,
well.
100%. And you're not wrong. I think a big part of it was one, obviously, growing up around us
But
was
what
obviously.
about what about people and culture and other Bengalis or other people that have looked at you when you guys are on the road together?
So I tend to not pay attention to people. I like as in I understand the psychology of people, and I understand very much like most people that people will forever talk. And my mindset has always been, and I know this is a very, very silly comparison, that some of the best of men, example prophets, they would do nothing but good. and people would still talk bad about them in front of their own eyes, right? This is something obviously we grew up. Religion was a big factor in our household, and understanding that from a very young age, realized that there's not one of us that will go unscathed. No matter how good we do, people will always find a way to talk bad about you. So for me, it was always never anything personal. It was more to do with understanding that it was their own personal experience. And yet again, it was never for me to be like, by the way, your opinion's wrong, so on and so forth. Maybe the situation was different for them,
Mm-hmm.
but for me, it was never kind of something that I even paid attention to. I pay attention to. I have heard people say stuff, and vice versa. You know, wives heard plenty of people say stuff. I tend to find that whenever we are together, if I'm with her, white people would often give her dirty looks. And if I'm in a group of
Yeah.
Asian people would often give her the dirty looks, and it's like both sided. It's somehow like her fault, and
Right.
it's somehow always going to be the case. And I don't know why that
Mm.
is from a social standpoint, but it is
So
something that
it kind of leads me to my first main question. Like, how did you overcome this adversity, this issue, for example, with people looking at you like from different backgrounds, looking at you guys, you know,
hmm,
different, and like, ooh, you've done something wrong, like you've done some crazy thing in your
so
lifetime.
I
How
can
did
tell
you
you
overcome this?
I can tell you something that will make perfect sense to you. But so for those who don't know. Alhamdulillah, my home life, family wise, was always a very balanced and a very good one. And so growing up, I had was surrounded by love. So surrounded by a lot of people that would listen, surrounded by a lot of good figures, motherly figures, and old brotherly kind of like father figures.
Mm.
And so having something like that means that once you grow up in the comfort of your home and have stability, which is the main important thing, everybody else in the outside world I would make comparisons to my own family. And when you have a good structured kind of life,
Mhm.
nobody else matters. Anybody else's opinions and kind of negative thoughts and stuff doesn't matter because you have a solid foundation. Like it's bedrock. It's
Right.
deeply kind of rooted. And so nothing, yet again, I keep going back to it, nothing was personal. So quite often people have like issues and they have like a difficult time when they have a lot of turmoil within their own homes and they struggle upbringing wise. And so the moment someone says something, it's quick for them to snap. It's because there's a lot of things that builds up behind closed doors for them to get to a stage where what you're looking at, always this, and then before you know it, it's like quite, I guess quite volatile. But yeah, again, because I was, because everyone was very accepting. Yeah, again, there
Mhm.
was no issues at home. Family were, alhamdulillah, yet again, very loving, very kind of understanding. It meant that nobody else was a problem.
Yeah.
Anybody else that I had to come across that had a slight bit of thing, I didn't pay attention to because why am I going to pay attention to, right? Right? Everything is
Mhm.
good for me at home. It's for me, nothing was personal. And so it was a very, very, very easy thing to overcome.
Mhm.
I never even really thought about it, to be honest, but yeah, alhamdulillah, very easy.
Right. So two other things I want to touch on before we move on. How
Yes.
long are you married for? How long are you married for now at the moment?
Alhamdulillah, going on to 18 years, I think.
18 years.
18
Wow.
years.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. It's a blessing. How many kids?
Seven. Alhamdulillah, seven.
Seven.
4 boys and 3 girls.
Alhamdulillah. And
Yes.
some of them are going college,
Yeah.
second
So
one
my
year.
my oldest two are in college, and my youngest one has just started nursery. So there's a bit of an age gap, quite a bit of an age gap.
Right. And
Um,
and before we go to the next question,
yeah,
for the you obviously they're going to be haters. Oh, that many children, and
of
I bet
course.
you're like, living in a council house, or
Yeah.
you're claiming benefit or this or that.
Hmm.
You're working,
Uh-huh.
and your wife's working,
Uh-huh.
and you're providing for your children. Here we go. Here we
So
go. So
so that's a
you
very
know it's
good
good.
that's a
Yeah,
very
because
good
people think, oh, you know what, they've got kids. I bet you
yeah,
they're claiming off the government and this and
yeah.
that. Yeah, just,
So
just let them know that you're working and
good
your wife's
topic, by the
working.
way.
It's a
There's
main thing.
a good topic to touch upon. So, not yeah, again, not to kind of what's the word for it? Say anything that is to be taken in a wrong way, because I know the whole point of the government being there, it's for support for people who are struggling. That's the whole point,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
The whole
yeah.
government support. So there's no way, negatively kind of reflecting on people who need the support. Fortunately for me. and my wife, we've never needed to kind of lean in and get that support
Mm.
from the government because we're both always been working.
That's good.
Alhamdulillah,
Alhamdulillah. Yeah.
she's worked throughout every pregnancy, and yeah, a big part of it
Yeah.
was, I guess, she wanted to do it, and always knew that if the government, obviously, if we needed help and we ever fell in difficult times, that it was there. But Alhamdulillah, we never had to go there.
And last question in regards to this, and we'll move on.
Yeah.
How's especially with marriages like that? How's your dean? Like, is she practicing, or are you practicing still? How does that work? Or
So
just quickly touch up on that if you
yeah,
can.
interesting. So initially, and this is something I wouldn't say so much advice, but some sort of kind of, yeah, again, food for thought for people who are stepping outside the culture, whether it is within from the country, race, or kind of like religion. Um, you would naturally assume that when you marry, that, I mean, to be honest, not even naturally, subconsciously, you don't even think about these kind of simple things that we do, right? Like
Mhm.
when you marry into your own culture, you don't have to explain to them, by the way, this is kind of stuff that you can't do, and this is something that you should do. And then we'll do like this, and we'll do the sehri like this, and we do
Yeah.
so on and so. There's so much things that have to go into stuff that you grow up knowing. And so, luckily for me, the woman that I was married to, I am married to, is that's dangerous,
She
dangerous.
watches once. What you?
Nice, nice. So my wife is she was inquisitive enough that before she even decided to revert, that my dad, before I even go there, my dad always said, I'm not sure if you know this, by the way, sir. Pop said to me privately that he said, don't make her a Muslim. Don't like convince her, don't force her, don't let her do this if she wants to do it herself. Let her educate herself. You show her what you need to educate her with, but let her do everything else.
Mhm.
Because at the end of the day, you don't
Yeah,
want
yeah.
to be in a place
That's
where you're
right.
standing face to face with God.
You can't force it.
And then she says, "Oh, by the way, I changed my religion for him."
Yeah, yeah.
Right? That's something that you don't want. So let her do it herself, educate herself, and she did for the longest time. She was educating herself. Started learning Arabic, and then she researched on all kinds of things, from jinns to kind of scientific this and scientific that, all of it, which then further kind of reinforced her understanding of, okay, Islam. I guess out of all the books and everything else that I read, this makes more sense to me on a scientific level than anything else, and so that was what basically pushed her to revert.
Right. So now we're getting into more mental health now. So I know you do a lot of work for mental health. Could you like how do you maintain your mental health and emotions during everything really during everything?
So for me,
Yeah.
it has always been a few factors, and I'm talking to, yet again, social media and doing the whole streaming thing. I have come across a lot of adults, a lot of broken adults who have substantial amount of money sometimes,
Mhm.
but deeply inside the heart they are, or inside the soul they are struggling, depressed, or quite often will say stuff about not wanting to be here and so on
Mhm.
and so forth. And after having enough conversations, yet again, by no means I'm a mental health expert, just on the experience that I've had with people and ones that I've spoken to, it always comes from the same place. And that is foundation. Growing up, if the people around you, if they don't give you the attention and don't help raise you, it often causes problems in the long run. And for me, going back to that, is I've had a lot of stability growing up. There was never no stability. There was never no love. There was never no kind of just people around me if I ever needed to talk to,
Yeah, yeah.
which then reinforces you as a person, and you know that you can grow up to be a very confident individual. And so then for me, that was one factor, and also kind of having people like role models, role
Mhm.
models who kind of set things in motion for me. So for me, gym, for example, that is something that I've always used as a kind of a burning method of kind of just getting rid of frustration. Amazing, amazing.
Amazing. Yeah,
Um,
yeah, definitely.
definitely. And
I do that. I tend to do the same thing as well. Like gym's such a relief for me, like especially with so much pressure in life coming from all directions. You just need an outlet, you know. It doesn't always necessarily need to be like anger and this and that. It's just, it could be anything. It could be anything. You go there and it's just you by yourself, just, you know, working out.
It's rewarding.
And yeah,
It's
and just
therapeutic.
getting it
Yeah,
out. Yeah, it helps a
100%.
lot.
I think a lot of and that's it for me is obviously I have the guidance that I know that I need. Deen, obviously, Islam is something that will tell you what you need to do, and obviously you stay focused on that. And everything else around it is more to do with just reinforcement. Stay in contact with people. Make sure you are surrounded by good people as well. Surrounded by people that kind of
Yep,
uplift you
yep.
mentally and also push you to be a better version of yourself. I know it sounds corny as hell, but if you're never being challenged, if you're never being challenged, you're not gonna grow. And
Mhm.
that's one of the reasons why gym makes you feel so good because yeah,
Yeah,
again, you are every day becoming a stronger version of yourself. And then especially if you're doing consistently and you're dieting, you start seeing the changes in your body and your clothes
mm,
fits are different and someone compliments, oh my goodness, you look different, you look more this and that. The confidence starts, it's exuberant. People start noticing and
yeah,
it's a good way. So that's been my factor. So whenever I talk to people, even like so far, maybe like 7 people just this January,
mhm,
I've explained to them that, oh, so they know me for a while now, and I've always said to them, like, make sure if you're feeling depressed and you're feeling this and that, start with something small, like going for a walk, incorporate gym, the food that you eat, and one of the worst catalysts for depression for a lot of people, yet again, is routine. Routine is so important. If you're
yep.
not sleeping on time and if you're not forcing, unless you have a medical condition, like insomnia of some sort.
Even
Um,
sleep as well. Like, the thing is, a lot of the people from the autistic community, right? Especially parents, we get the least amount of sleep.
little
It's
to no
unreal
amounts.
because there's no structure. I mean, even though the children like the structure, it's not always available to them. Like, for example, you could put a child to sleep at 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening.
Uh-huh.
They could be up at 12 or 1 o'clock, and they
Wow.
won't be going back to sleep. And then we have to be up with them as well. And then we
Wow.
have work in the morning as well, and they have school as well. So it's just all over the place at times. So it's hard. It's
I,
really hard.
I must say, obviously, yeah, again with the whole autism is very much like any other kind of. I know it's not comparison, but like just you'd understand once I finish saying the sentence. But it's almost like you hear about you hear about cancer growing up, right? You hear about cancer, but you never really pay attention to it. This person's been affected, that person, oh my goodness, cancer, horrible, 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 right? You hear about it until it affects someone close to you.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then you are all of a sudden, like, on a personal level, like, oh,
Different,
this
yeah,
is
it's different.
horrible.
That's
And
right.
then very much we've probably heard of autism once in a while. Never thought it would affect anyone or never even really thought about it. Didn't realize what it fully was until
Yeah.
obviously with having children who are on the spectrum, um, all of a sudden you are an expert of some sort in obviously experiencing that. If, people say experience is the best teacher in life, you're experiencing that, and then therefore secondhand, obviously me not going through it, but having family members
Yeah.
start researching into it, and then you realize that it it's a full-time job.
Yeah.
On top of there's parents out there like yourselves who are working full-time, and then there is like obviously for me having kids.
Mhm.
And I think about this quite a lot. There is so many times where I can just relax.
Yeah.
And even though I say it's stressful, I can relax.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, the kids are running around, they're doing this and that. I can relax even when the kids are doing that. I don't have to be constant in the forefront of my mind. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, what are they doing?
They're not going to be doing the most
This is my
extreme, for
point.
example.
I've
Like,
seen with you guys, there
yeah,
is
yeah,
no,
yeah.
there is no like period of not heightened kind of
That's right. So we're
something happening.
always on alert. I'm telling you,
Always on that.
even when we're sleeping, right? Like you have like the doorbell, like when the door's open, it goes bing, or when it closes, which is alert. As soon as you hear something, you're like, it's gone, or something's
Uh,
happened. Straight up, like it's happened to me before. And hopefully one of these days I'll talk about it more. But
yeah,
it's
there
it's
is.
it's all it's,
For me on the outside, I think the way I'd feel is like constantly exhausted. There
yeah,
is no time to
yeah,
no time to switch off.
Yeah,
Even in your sleep, you got to keep an air
yeah,
out.
it's true,
Like, and that's
100%.
me imagining. I can't even
Yeah,
like fathom
I'm telling
how
you.
it must feel like as a parent who
Yeah,
has
yeah.
a child
I
that.
made a I made a video yesterday on TikTok about it. I don't know if
Uh-huh.
you've seen it. Like autism parents, they, that you could be 30, but you could look 40 or 50 because it's just we
Wow.
have lack of sleep, we have eye bags, we look tired all the time. It's not because we want it. We're just constantly on the go, man, on the go all the time.
Man, a moment of recognition to parents who have autistic children, man. Is
Do you know
I
what?
don't think
Before I
you
move on,
realize, man, how much those kids probably, they probably adore you as much. It's hard to sometimes describe.
yeah, man. Yeah, yeah,
I think that's another thing from a parent. Like I Noah's 3 years old, and he'll be sitting on me, and he'd be like, "I love you, Abu," like randomly.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
things that parents know that the kids feel it, but not being able
yeah,
to hear it as much and
yeah,
stuff like that. Little things that we take for granted.
right.
You don't realize that your kid obviously feels it, it,
Yeah,
but it's just not hearing that, like and still being, what is it, selfless as a parent. Because there's a lot of people, other parents out there that struggle, man, and they have no one to talk to. So, yeah,
100%.
again, kudos to you, sir, for giving a platform, a place
Appreciate it.
for to bring people
Yeah,
who are
appreciate it.
experiencing it. I know I'm not gonna
Oh,
just say, people of culture, because really and truly, we are a long way behind, but there is a lot of positive change that's happening.
yeah, yeah.
But there definitely needs to be places like this that
100%.
allows people to vent, allows people to express, allow people to understand and get tips from people who have been in that position for many, many years and
Yeah,
have experienced that. Who else better than to get it from a person who's going through this for the longest time?
yeah. I was going to say before I move on to the next point. I've said it in a book because I co-authored a book as well.
Okay.
And I've
Can you mention the
mentioned.
name of the book, please, sir?
Do you know what? It's got, I think,
Where can we
14 or
find it, by the
15,
way? Where can
14
we
or
find
15 dads, right? They've poured their hearts out. It's
it?
such an amazing book. I read it and I'm like, I read it and I couldn't believe it. I'm thinking, when you think I have the hardest life, I've done so much, and I'm going through so much hardship, and then you read someone else's book side of it, and you're like, wow, I thought I was going through this hardship.
Wow.
Have you seen this guy? And there's so many stories in there. You're happy at some point, and then you're
Uh-huh.
sad at another point. There's tears coming out at some point. It's a roller coaster, that book,
Uh,
man. I'll leave a link. I'm gonna try and leave a link in
Please
the
do, man. Please do. Can I just one another quick
but
self?
before you jump into it, one second, keep in mind what you're going to say though, because I know you're going to forget.
No,
Right?
no, I
I'm like,
remember. I remember.
whatever. But I was
Mental
going to say,
mental screenshot.
I was going to say to everyone, right? In the book, I mentioned, and it's true. Like as me and the wife, we never heard of autism ever in our life, right? And I remember when Issa was running around several times, and you pointed out, oh, so do you reckon he has autism? That was the first time I've ever heard the word autism, and I didn't have a clue what
Ah,
it was.
I'm
But
glad you remember that. I'm glad
so
you remember.
yeah, so it's. I remember I mentioned it in the book as well because if it wasn't for you, I don't think we would have been, on the track to get him that much help. Because obviously, we're different. I know we're different as well. Like we don't deny it. If it's
Yeah,
there, it's there. Do you understand? Deny it won't help him.
of course, of course.
Just putting in the back of mind, thinking, oh, my son's gonna grow out of it. My son, he doesn't have this, he doesn't have that.
Hmm?
It's not going to make it go away. So at the beginning we're thinking, oh yeah, he's a slow learner, but then we say, oh no, what this is what remember what Rana said. Let's try and get him looked at, and we did get him looked at, and he was diagnosed eventually. So with your words, I think we came onto that
Wow.
track of getting them diagnosed. So yeah, you never know, man. You have knowledge and other people don't. You should always
I
kind
have
of
I have a
say it.
question for you.
Yes, and also before you have a question for
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
you was going to say
So
something, and then
where can you find this link for the book? Where, I mean, what sites can you find it on? I
it,
know the
it, it's
link's gonna direct you, but is there any place
Yeah,
if a
it's,
person
it's on
hasn't?
Amazon. It's on Amazon.
Oh,
It's one of the best sellers there actually.
amazing.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go find it. Do you know what? I might even when I edit this, I might just put it in there.
100% do it,
But
man. Whatever makes it easier for
if
people
I
to
don't,
source
then you,
and
you guys don't know. You
the
guys hear
support
it.
is there.
But
It's amazing,
yeah,
man.
but it's a good
Um,
book.
so what? I can't say one piece. You can't just narrow it down to one piece. But if there's a few bits of advice you can give to parents who are quite concerned, or maybe they have some sort of inkling possibility, what would you have done differently in regards to with the information that you know now? What
Good
would you done?
question. I love the way you turned it around to me now. Like you're the host, but it's a good question. And do you know what? I thought about it, and I thought about hopefully making a video on it soon. But as you've raised the question now, I think going back, if I could go back, I would have, instead of doubting and doubting what I know or what I see or what I hear, information's there. You said it. You said, oh, it might be autism. Instead of me going, oh no, no, he might be a slow learner, or no, this can't be it. This can't be it. I know it wouldn't change anything. So, what's the next best thing for your child?
Wow.
Get the support that's required and needed for your child, because with interventions, early interventions, you could help your child be a better version of themselves. To now, for example, now he's 12 and he's met many milestones now, right? Many milestones. And I know there's other 12-year-olds, because everyone's on different levels on the spectrum and so on. But we all kind of have similar, pathway, shall I say? So if I could go back, I'd get him looked at earlier, and maybe have like speech therapy and other therapies in place for him to be helpful for it to be helpful for him. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense, man. So the early kind of the earlier you get involved or understand at least. And here's the thing as well, right? What's the worst case scenario? Right?
Exactly.
It's like
Exactly.
you go in and then there is nothing, and they're like, oh, by the way, he's just
That's what I
takes a
say.
bit longer to learn, and
That's what I say
nothing
to a lot
comes
of
of it.
people.
Or
I'm like, I say to, like, it's plain and simple. I say to people, whether you like it or not, if your son or daughter is autistic, there is nothing on this earth at the moment that you could do. Are you gonna denying it would only, hurt them in the long run, because there is no resources for them and they're not getting the help they need.
Mhm.
So acknowledging it. If you get them looked at, if they're not autistic, they will say they're not autistic. Then you can work on it. If they
Mhm.
are autistic, they will say, "Oh, this is the services that we can provide.
Mhm.
This is the help we can provide. Use it. Use it." There's many ways. There's many. Even yourself, you need it as well, because if your child is autistic, you're gonna have so many challenges along the way.
100%.
So you need there's ways where you can get time off as well. You can get a little break here and there, and that's within the service of the, say, whatever authority, local authority or
Yeah,
whatever, right? So it's there for you as well. So it helps you as well. That's
100%.
what I say.
Guidance is there and the support is there. Amazing. Thank you, man.
But should I go into my next question then
Yeah,
for
go
you?
for it. Yeah, I'm ready for it.
Right. So it's called lessons learned, right?
Okay.
So what is one lesson that you've learned through your struggles that you think others should know, so that could help them? So it's the same question more or less that you've asked me. What do you think you could share with other people, your struggles that
Um,
they could learn? And
Personally, without getting too much into the specifics of the minutia of what topic I'm talking about, so this will reflect in every kind of possible kind of situation in life, is happiness, right? People are often looking for happiness in the wrong places. And this is something that everyone's guilty of, right?
yeah,
Everyone's guilty
yeah,
of.
yeah,
Um, I think once you realize that, and I know yet again corny, right? Um, Happiness starts off with you understanding your limitations, understanding who you are as a person, and accepting yourself. For the longest time, even though, like I said, I had the speech about having support network and everything, for the longest time, I was trying to make other people happy. For the longest time, I was trying to make other people happy. And then it dawned on me that no matter how much you try and make people happy, people are always going to have an issue.
yeah,
And then, oh, if you don't prioritize, you would be in a position where you kind of put other people first, and before you know it, they think they're better than you in some way. And so when you work on yourself and you learn to be happy with your own company and in your own company, then you can take yourself into a relationship, whether it is with a partner or friends, and be happy. Because you know full well that they're not the reason for your happiness.
Mhm.
Right? Because like selflessly, right, or selfishly, people all will want to be friends with people, or in a relationship, right? Even in a relationship for themselves.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Whether it is
yeah.
I want to be friends with that guy because he freaking looks cool and he's handsome and he's got a lot of money and he can make me look cool, or I want to be with that girl because she's beautiful and I her looks is amazing and I want people to say, wow. If you're doing it for that reason and
Mm,
that person is the reason for your happiness, the moment they move away from that situation, if they don't want to be with you, your world falls apart.
that's right. That's right.
So work on yourself. Obviously, Islamically, I'm talking about deen is very important because you're always distracted because you have set guidelines of what you need to do, which is yet again very important mentally and spiritually. Also, work on yourself, whether it is from educational purposes, whether it is from a physicality side of kind of going to the gym, but forever working on yourself. Once you're in that position where you're happy with yourself,
Yep, yep.
I promise you, things become easier for you because it's not about other people first. It's about, and yet again, it's not like a selfish me, 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 me. It's about understanding yourself. And once you do that, and this is something that took me the longest time to realize that I'm okay being by myself. As in, like, when I
Yeah.
say be by myself, is I'm okay being alone and not having to constantly reach out to people
Mhm.
so I could distract myself from having friends and having this and having that. And so once you are in that place, life becomes dramatically, dramatically easier. Or I think I've used the wrong sentence, but life becomes a lot more easier. And
Mhm.
definitely, it's a good piece of advice from me.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Support systems.
Uh-huh.
All right. Who or what has been your greatest source of strength or support in difficult moments?
Oof. Okay. So, family. Yeah, again, knowing that family, and yeah, again, for people, it can be a various amount of things. Some people is friends. Some people is, yeah, again, people, pets, right? Cats and dogs, because they don't have that extended support system. Sometimes they would rely on that. And like I said, long as it's a support system that works for you, amazing. So long as it's something that's not harming you, it can never be a bad thing. For me personally, family, friends, I know, regardless of how long we haven't spoken, if I need to talk to them, they're there. And but more importantly, I think for me, has been religion. I think because I know, right, and I've always said this for a lot of people, is that um, we're all going to be tested, regardless of whatever it is, your health, your wealth, your family, your loved ones, and whatnot. We're going to be tested. Understanding that brings you a particular peace of mind because you know that it's not personal, right? Nothing's personal, and it's not like, oh my goodness, this has happened. I know, like I said, Allahu Alam, Allah knows best, right? I know one day something's going to happen that I'm going to be tested, and I always say, just allow me to overcome whichever obstacle that needs to come in a graceful way, so I'm not freaking just like freaking turning into like a crazy person, right? So I know it will happen, but for me, it's just knowing and be. I think also being like grateful for everything that I have as well. I think is once you
Content.
overcome the
Content.
things, yeah.
Yeah,
Once
content
you,
as well. Like when you're content with something, I
yeah,
think that helps as well.
yeah,
Because we're in this life, we're always after the next best thing. If
hmm,
someone else is wealthier, you want to be wealthier than that person. You always so it's never enough. If they have 1,000, you want 10,000. If you,
yeah.
if they have 10,000, you want 20,000, and so on and so on and so on. Never enough.
Have you
Right?
have you heard the term, the comparison is the thief of joy? Have you heard that?
Yes, yes,
This
it
is
makes sense as well. Though,
It's,
100%.
I'm telling you, man. There's a we've
It makes
we've
sense.
all been guilty of it to
Yeah, yeah,
some degree.
yeah,
You
yeah.
can have something and be happy, and then you see somebody
Yeah.
else that has a tiny bit more, and you're like, oh man, and oh,
I
this,
need more.
I'm not happy
Yeah,
with this.
yeah,
I need
yeah.
that. So it's just being content. But yeah, man. More importantly, like I said, it's a very for me, it's always been family. Having the family that we do, kind of connection and the kind of bond that we have. Yeah, again, makes things so much for me. Like I said, it makes it so much more easier for me to be content and happy and know that I have stability in my life. Alhamdulillah.
Right, dreams and hopes, right? So, despite challenges, what dreams or goals are you pursuing, and how do you stay motivated? That's the
Interesting.
last question for you, and
Okay,
we can.
so I've had a kind of a something that I was working on since like 2000 and probably six, seven, and it's just a matter of finding the connection and finding a good time to, because funding wise it's stupid, it's unrealistic,
Mm.
it's never going to happen. It's such an outrageous idea that it will probably never happen, but like it's always been on the back burner, something that I've always wanted to do. So that is a dream yet again. And what was the other question?
Dreams and hopes. Like,
Hopes.
yeah,
My
yeah,
hope is my hope is one day that comes to fruition. I don't think it's gonna happen, man. But yeah,
yeah,
again, I think with me, right? It is gonna sound silly. Um, I'm not too dangerous when it comes down to expectations. I don't like who is it? I spoke to Miss Aki, right? Like, well, last time we spoke about things randomly during the family kind of conversation.
yeah,
Like anything that I have ever asked for, right? Like anything that I have ever asked for, like Allah has given to me.
yeah. Blessed.
There's never nothing that I have asked for that was outlandish, because yet again, like there's out of all the priorities in the world,
Yeah,
what would, and I've always understood that asking for 1 billion, right, may completely ruin my entire family.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
kids go off the rail, expect money's like grows on tree, they become crazy. Wife's like she goes
Yeah.
starts dribbling, goes crazy, and then I'm like start losing it as well, and then moving away from Dean. Like money isn't always beneficial to everyone, especially excess of money, because it means that I'm the kind of person I get distracted very easy, and I know that I've been more closer to Allah when I've been broke than when I am in a position where I have more money. And I
Mm.
understand that for me, being in that position of being more, borderline broke is better for me than on a kind of Deen level than it is for me than to have substantial amount of money. Allahu alam, Allah knows best. Obviously, what happens in the future, but for me, it's just that is something that I've always really thought about. So I don't ask for too much. Minimal amounts, so long as family, alhamdulillah, doing fine, and mentally and physically I'm able to do things. Everything else is a blessing. Like I said, don't have to ask for a lot.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Well, that's the questions I have for you.
Okay.
Yeah. And well, thank you for your time, and
Yeah, my pleasure, man.
I hope everyone benefited from it, because I did. It was nice talking to you, and obviously testing phase, so it was
Mhm.
nice, to get the ins and out of how this works. And I'm sure there's other people on this journey as well in your, just your footsteps. Maybe not exactly on your footstep, but parts of your life that are going to benefit from what you've said, and how yeah. So yeah, that really it. Really.
Thank you very
So thank
much,
you.
man. A
Thank
few
you.
questions for you, sir. Thank you. First of
Yeah.
all, thank you for
Oh,
having
oh,
me.
wow. Okay. Counter
Yeah.
question.
No,
Let's
no, no,
go.
no. First of all, thank you for having me. I'm not gonna questions per se, because obviously you mentioned that this is a test. Hopefully, I didn't want to use up
Now
all the
go on.
questions
That's
until
right.
we have our kind of thingy. But where are all the platforms we can find this?
Um,
You.
it, it's going to be on YouTube. It's going to be on TikTok, possibly Instagram as well.
Uh-huh.
Those are the three main social media
So
that's going to be on.
would it be live streaming? Would it be a regular uploading thing for the meantime, or
Yeah, I'm hoping to make this a regular thing. There's many other people that I've kind of contacted already, and I wanted to keep it to average people, because at the end of the day, I don't see the benefit of interviewing superstars or famous people. I don't see it. I want the nitty gritty everyday struggles that everybody feels. Do you understand?
I
So
understand.
I wanted to kind of cover that instead of just contacting a TikTok superstar or Instagram superstar and say,
I
oh,
think more people can relate to this. 100%.
maybe a few of them here and there, but I don't
Right.
want it to be a regular thing. Does that make
Right.
sense?
No, no, perfectly makes sense, man. But yeah, thank you for, like I said, thank you for having me, man. I appreciate
Yeah,
this.
it was great. It was
Good
great.
insight, good insight, and definitely enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever sat down and spoke about this for that long.
I mean, yeah,
Maybe in the
no,
young days, but
maybe yeah, but most of the time playing
yeah,
Mario Kart or something in
in
the
ages.
background. But yeah, definitely,
Quickly, I'm gonna cut it off after this, right?
yeah.
But your five, I'm gonna say, look, your five recommendations on anime, best animes. Go
Okay, so
top of the head.
currently Solo Leveling,
Solo
fantastic. For
Leveling,
those who haven't watched it, Attack on Titan,
Attack on Titan,
Demon Slayer.
Demon Slayer.
What else? What else? What else? If I have to think off the top of my head, oh my goodness. So those three are the ones currently that there's a few others, but like I can't really even. It won't compare. But yeah, TV series. I know it's. Oh no, I can't.
Come on.
There is okay. So it's a live adaptation. So it's basically called Alice in Borderlands. It's a manga that's been switched
Yeah.
over to a TV series, live action.
All right.
But what about yours? If you had to do one, if that's not on the
You
list,
did four. One more. I watched so much of it.
Vinland Saga. I'm enjoying Vinland Saga at the moment.
So with Finland Saga, I really liked season one.
Yeah.
I really liked season one. It was just that the passion he had to avenge his dad. It was just I felt that burn, like when his whole life his dad was taken away from him.
Man.
It was so dangerous for me, and I felt the anger, and I wanted him to, just feel that peace after he, gets his revenge. So the whole season was like, yes, he's getting there, And so I enjoyed season one. Season two was so much. It was the total opposite of it. It was like first season was violent and gore, and then second season was like peace and love.
Do you not realize though? Do you not realize how much growth happened though? Because he turned into his dad.
I get the growth, and I get the how he's changed his persona and
he's turned into his dad, man.
I understand that, but it's just as an anime, as someone
you want
to
see more. You want to see more, of course.
Yeah, I wanted to see more of him. But it was nice.
Right,
it was nice.
So, okay. So your top five then. So
my top five would be Hero Academia. Probably not. So these are not all in like. As in like 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah,
So just five. Right. And not in order. So Hero Academia, I like that. I liked Demon Slayer. Ooh, one of the best.
Yeah.
I love it. I love the concept. I love the
I just finished watching it, by the way. Finished.
I've seen it so many times. I've rewatched it over and over.
Just started watching it. Finished it.
Yeah. So and Attack on Titan, yes.
Amazing.
The twist was mad. The twist was just out of the world.
Yeah.
And then I like One Punch Man. I like that as well. I don't know.
My goodness, how can I forget? I've got t-shirts, so many t-shirts. I love it, man.
It's so cool though. That guy. It's hilarious. Do you know what? I don't want to put this into my top five, but I'm watching it now. I'm watching because Naruto was always a thing, right? So it was always a thing, but I've never watched it. It's gone so far ahead, but I've never watched it. So I watch it in dub as well. So I've started watching it from right at the beginning of season one. I'm on set 6 or so. I just set 5 now. I think I'm on. So I'm watching a lot of that, but I'm not going to mention that on number 5. There's so many, man. There's there was. Yeah, so there's so many. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, okay. So
like Jujutsu Kaisen, really nice as well.
My goodness! That's on my list. I finished Demon Slayer.
Yeah.
I finished Jujutsu Kaisen, all the seasons, right? I finished Attack on Titan. I never finished the last season or so, right? I didn't watch it. Like, my wife watched it. I never watched it. So I finished that Attack on Titan. So I watched Jujutsu Kaisen, Demon Slayer, Attack on Titan, and there was another one, but I caught up. Question for you, another one as well. If you go in prison, for some, you got set up and you go in prison. Which of the long freaking ones are you watching? You're watching Naruto already. There's Bleach and there's One Piece.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to be honest, probably got enough time to watch all of them. If they give you, they bless you with a damn freaking.
So give me a charger and a Wi-Fi, and that's it.
That's it. But Bleach, not Bleach. One Piece. I've heard nothing but amazing.
How can you not mention Bleach up there?
That's what I said. Yeah,
could be up there, man. There's too many to mention in the top 5.
Bleach, Naruto, and One Piece are the ones that I've heard. I've heard more about One Piece than I've heard from anything. And I've started. At least I know you're gonna judge me. I watched the live action Netflix one, right?
What's up,
One Piece, right?
That's good, you know.
I liked it, and I'm like, okay, let me watch a few episodes. And now all the kids are watching One Piece. They're watching it like every morning. They watch it.
I've never seen One Piece. I've saw the live action.
You gotta watch it, man.
It was good. It was really good.
I'm not even like past episode 10 or 11, but nonetheless, it's good. It's fun, definitely.
There you go. That was fun, Rana. So I'm gonna let you go. And hopefully we catch up next time.
I'm looking forward to it, man.
I hope everyone that's watching enjoyed this, and obviously, like, follow, and subscribe, and all that. To keep up with the next podcast and so on.
Look forward to it.
And check out Runner's stuff as well. He's on. Was it again? You're on Twitch.
I'm on.
You're on. Go on, tell us.
No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it, man. I'm not doing it.
So thank you very much.
No, listen.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
No.
So he's on Twitch. He's on Kick. He's on. You're on Instagram as well.
Yeah, to be honest, the only one that I'm using currently at the moment is YouTube and Twitch, and I have the other platforms, but like it takes up too much attention from me. Like, as in,
Yeah.
like, I'm already
What's your
like,
handle? What's your handle on YouTube then?
Suto, same, Suto Sasa, Suto _ Sasa, SUTO _ SASA.
There you go, people. Lock in, and there you go. Just follow up. Rana, thank you again. I'll speak to you soon. Yeah.